What's up, everyone, and welcome! In this episode, we're going to talk about one of the largest U.S. operators of TV stations, Sinclair Broadcast Group, being the victim of a ransomware attack.
Oh, drat these computers. They're so naughty and so complex. I could pinch them.
Sinclair Broadcast Group, which owns hundreds of local TV stations across the U.S., confirmed Monday that it has suffered a ransomware attack. The incident is disrupting its advertising operations, among other things, and spread to many of its own TV affiliates over the weekend, knocking local broadcast feeds off the air. The cyber attack disrupted the company's general and office operations and resulted in data exfiltration, according to the media group's statement to the Securities and Exchange Commission. On October 16, 2021, the company identified and began to investigate and take steps to contain a potential security incident. On October 17, 2021, the company identified that certain servers and workstations in its environment were encrypted with ransomware and that certain office and operational networks were disrupted.
Oh my God! You knocked Fox off the air!
Like anyone on Earth cares.
Sinclair is actively managing the fallout from the attack, it said, after implementing its incident response plan. So they had one. The forensic investigation remains ongoing, it added, explaining that it's dealing with continuing disruption, including problems with provisioning local commercials at its TV stations. Modern ransomware attackers have learned to target an organization's critical business systems as they need to be back online quickly, and one of the easiest ways is to pay the ransom to obtain the key to decrypt those systems, John Clay, Vice President of Threat Intelligence at Trend Micro, said via email. In this situation, targeting customers of the victim, like local advertisers, by taking their revenue opportunities away, could ensure the ransom is paid in order to get these systems back online. But perhaps this gentleman did not know that they had a plan in place, so it's most likely that they had a good backup in place which would allow them to get online quickly, without paying the ransom. Many of Sinclair's 294 television stations took to Twitter on Sunday to let viewers know that they were experiencing technical difficulties, preventing their ability to provide local programming like news and other broadcast content like in-market NFL games. As of Monday, many had resumed operations, but some are still dealing with some lingering issues such as trouble using weather graphics, according to reports. A source also told the record that the stations are interconnected by a central Sinclair Active Directory, which allowed these cyber attackers to infiltrate seemingly disparate operations. However, they failed to reach a network area known as the Master Control, which allowed Sinclair to provide a working national feed to affected stations, according to the source. Another issue is the data that was stolen. Sinclair confirmed that data was taken, but it's not yet sure which information attackers have. The company will take other actions as appropriate based on its review, it said. Sinclair didn't supply other details that would be of interest, such as which ransomware strain was used, how the ransomware infiltrated its network initially, or a timeline for remediation. However, the company added that it's reviewing security protections for areas of improvement, which is probably a good idea. Probably a good idea, according to researchers. It should be noted that even though threat actors deployed ransomware just a few days ago, with many ransomware attacks these days, the initial access that precipitated the attack generally occurs weeks, if not months, ahead of time, said Crane Hassold, Director of Threat Intelligence at Abnormal Security, via email. This initial foothold, which could be caused by a separate malware infection or vulnerable web application, is what is exploited to deploy the ransomware. Garrett Grayek, CEO at UAttest, noted that a successful attack on a major media player should be of utmost concern. Penetration of all our key systems, water, energy, transportation, and media, is a grave concern for Western countries, he said via email. The fact that a major media outlet like Sinclair was affected shows how vulnerable even those with security resources are to cyber attacks. Enterprises need to go beyond just password resets and even two-factor authentication and start understanding the scope and capabilities of all the identities in their enterprises, something I've been saying for months and months and months, if not years. He added, this means practicing the principle of least privilege to ensure that all accounts, especially when they are compromised, do not have access to resources they don't need access to, but could inflict damage if the account falls under control of a malicious party. User accounts are easily stolen and guessed by the hackers, which then conduct lateral movement across the enterprise and privilege escalation to obtain access to valued resources. enterprises must be aware of the rights granted and triggered when privileges are modified. So I ask, what can we learn? Well, compartmentalization here saved the master control network for Sinclair, meaning the attackers were able to affect some disparate operations because they use a sort of global active directory, which allowed them to go to local stations and infect those, but they weren't able to access this master network. Now, if they had breached that, it would be game over for Sinclair. Now, this stresses the point that we need to look at our infrastructure and see what areas are critical, and then implement better or more secure policies for accessing those areas. As one of the experts said, using least privilege principles throughout the network. Now, it won't be possible for every company to do something like this, but as I said, we have to review our infrastructure plans and see where we can look or lock down certain critical areas with stronger security policies. We also don't have much information here about which group did the attack to try and see what their TTPs could have been used, or any report from the company itself about how they might have gained access. Now, it does stress the point I have been making. We need to further improve security around VPNs, SSH and RDP. We need to patch vulnerable software and hardware ASAP, and we need to educate employees so that they can spot phishing campaigns, for example, much more easily, because they're equipped with the tools of what to look for. Look at the subject line, look at who it's coming from, question everything that's in the email. Don't just open up an invoice, that kind of stuff. So, with that, I say thanks again for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already, and smash the bell if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.